My people, Aisha Yesufu don scatter table in this interview with Arise TV. Watch this video. Watch to the end though, and do not forget to like and share. And also subscribe to this channel for more updates.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I hope you don't mind my saying it, but I was observing at the outset that you lost a bit of weight. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, it's on purpose. I'm 50 now, and I want to be 18, and I want my husband to remember the babe he got married to.
Well, I have to say you're looking very good.
Thank you.
And you, of course, emerged from that disappointing defeat of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, and since that time you've had to contend with the fact that the ruling APC party and President Bola Tinubu are the de facto and de jure rulers of Nigeria. What impact has that had on you?
So for me, the 2023 election, there was no defeat. The Nigerian people won. And we know that Mr. Peter Obi won the presidential election, Labour Party won it. And for me, it's something of a beauty to see Nigerians who hitherto didn't bother about politics all of a sudden were interested and invested, and they were able to actually unmask what politicking is all about in Nigeria. That it's not rocket science. It's not what we thought it was, where people were afraid of politics and thought there was some kind of what did they call it now, some kind of skills or whatever that this old politicians have, that they don't really have anything, and if people come together they can do the needful. So for me, that 2023, there was so much that was achieved.
And you are, of course, a well-respected activist, as well as a social media icon, and if you don't mind my saying so, an internet celebrity who creates and sets trends with your pioneering and inspiring sort of thoughts. In other words, an influencer. How useful has that power to express your thoughts and be listened to been in your activism?
Well, it helps when people are able to hear you and believe in what you're saying. I think it comes up out of being truthful, just saying things the way they are, and not, oh, will people like you or not like you. Yeah, so it's been instrumental in getting my voices out there, and sometimes in shaping narratives and making people to look at certain issues the way they haven't looked at it before. But also, in a way, it's also limited in the sense that you actually get a voice for the people, but you lose your voice for yourself. So there are certain things that ordinary, if it was before, I wouldn't take it. But now I'm like, okay, since it's against me,
selflessness.
Yeah, so you just have to now just, okay, not make a scene out of it or anything. But for me, the worst part of it all is the fact that I've lost my anonymity. I used to love it when I would go out and people see me in a job and actually look meek. I have a meek appearance. So people are like, okay, this one, can she even speak English? And then when I start something, like, oh, who is that? But I don't have that now. Before you even get there, you don't even know the person, but the person knows you. And somehow, for me, that loss of anonymity, just being in a place where nobody knows you're there, just do your thing and just walk away. I've lost that, and it's not a good thing for me all the time. Yeah.
And that's the price you've had to pay for your forthrightness and your activism. But in that regard, how do you keep your morale up? Because, I mean, when you become the voice of the people and you become the focus of the forces that are trying to suppress the voice of the people, I mean, that must be quite uncomfortable. How do you keep your morale up? How do you put on a bright face against the backdrop of the darkness that you have vowed to fight against?
So for me, the first thing that I do is that I ensure that my inside match my outside. So if I'm happy, you're going to see me happy. If I'm sad, I'm going to be sad. If there's something that make me cry, now I'm going to cry. So I don't try to hide, hide my emotions and all of that. And one thing also I do know is the fact that integrity is very expensive. Having character is extremely expensive in Nigeria, and so I always ensure that I hold myself to higher standards than I hold other people. So before I'm saying, oh, you should do this, I should do that for something, my words mean a lot to me. Like for me, my words are my bond. If I say something, no matter how difficult it's going to be for me, I have to keep to the things that I've said. But most importantly, I don't know how to say this, but most importantly, it's being contented For me, like I always say it, I think a few days ago I was saying it to someone. I said, look, if something is above my means, above my husband's means, I don't want it. And I'm not going to go to anybody's office. I said, look, I can be on the streets of Nigeria today if conditions warrant it, and I will be hawking pure water. I would not feel an iota of shame because I'm doing an honest job. But I would never, ever go to anybody's office where I'm looking for contract, or I'm looking for job, or I'm looking for appointment, or I'm helping somebody look for appointment. And I get a lot of people who come to me who feel, oh, but you're popular, but you could go and meet and ask for this thing or that thing. I'm like, no, I don't do that. That's the reason why I have a mouth. That's the reason why I can call out anybody that has done something when I want to call them out, because I'm not feeling that, oh, I will need something from them, or I've already taken something from them. So it's quite, sometimes it's difficult in terms of the fact that even like your businesses, there's certain loss that you get. Like my husband is a chartered accountant. He has an accounting firm. You know, he's a partner there. Sometimes there are certain, because of me, there are certain things that the firm has to, lose and stuff like that because of my stance and something like that. But hey, I married a great guy, and he's always supportive. And like in this word, he always says, whatever will make you happy. So no matter the loss and everything, he's ready to be there with me and for me to do the things that I'm doing. So my home support is amazing. My kids, my husband, family, great.
Well, that's good to hear. But beyond that sort of home support that you talk about, would you say that today the political landscape in Nigeria is much darker and much bleaker from the point of view of your political activism as an opponent of President Tinubu and the APC? After all, the APC was re-elected, and its power looks more entrenched than ever, and the Labour Party that you supported seems to be imploding.
So first of all, for me, APC was not elected. APC, they rigged their way into office. That's my own opinion. Aisha Yesufu, that's my name. And I'm not putting water in my mouth when I say it. So that's on one part. In terms of the political space, it's not bleak. It's extremely bright. Governance, yes, it's bleak. It's been bleak for like over 8 years. We've been there over the time, like over a decade. And that's why we got to where we are today. But I can tell you something. In 2018, I think, 2017, 2018, it took a lot to even tell Nigerians, we were doing the red card movement. And we were saying to Nigerians, look, there can be an option outside of APC and PDP, outside of the two main two main parties. And many people didn't believe. Many people, people thought we were crazy. We were going all around the country, speaking about this thing. Today, people have seen that it's not only an option, but it's doable and it can be done. And for me, that's a huge thing. In nation building it's very slow. So it's not something that, oh, you expect that, yes, you do this and then you get in there and that's it. No, it's very slow. I mean, there are a lot of setbacks. So as far as one must do, and this is something that I constantly do, is that you must continuously look at the little wins and take them. If I look at where we used to be, where young people didn't bother about politics, where a lot of citizens weren't bothered, people didn't even understand the relationship between governance and their lives. And I look at them like, politically, yes, we've gone a long way. But in terms of governance, of course, it's bleak because it has been there for over a decade. Even when we're on the streets, those are part of it. Is governance had gone, haywire. And today, where we are, there's no government in Nigeria. That's one thing. There's no government. We're just on autopilot. We're just free-flowing. Yes, there's someone who claims he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's someone, but people are not feeling the impact of governance. It's not about you carrying the key, getting yourself sworn in and being at Aso Villa and being able to appoint ABCD. It's about what positive impact have you made in people's lives. If you've not made any positive impact in people's lives, come on. You can, how do they put it? It could be like paracetamol, but no fit be paracetamol. I forgot the other name, Shabe. I no want to do advert for somebody.
Are you still an active member of the Labour Party?
I've never been a member of the Labour Party. So I am a supporter of Mr. Peter Obi, and there are candidates of us that have come out.
So you had nothing really to do with the Labour Party? I mean,
well, I've supported some of their candidates, but I've never been a member. Up till now, I've not yet been a member of a party, but anytime that I am, definitely to be made public. It's part of the things that I also need to do, and a lot of Nigerians need to do, because at the end of the day, the parties There are no internal democracies in these parties, and these parties are the ones that give us the people that will govern us. We need to have people in the parties, all the parties that are out there, whether there are new ones or whatever. We need to have people that would ensure that the best are the ones that are fielded, not the worst.
You were willing to work within the machinery of the Labour Party because Peter Obi was the presidential candidate, so you couldn't have supported him in isolation from the Labour Party.
So when you say I don't know whether it's really within the machinery, because I was his supporter. I worked with him, so I wasn't really in the machinery of the. But of course, because Peter Obi was running under Labour, yes, I did support Labour and other candidates whom I felt, their competence, they had the competence, character, capacity to lead. Like even the 2023 election, I remember in Enugu State, I supported Frank Weke Jr., who was running under ABGA. For me, it's always been, I've always said it, I think in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've always said that for me, it's more about candidates rather than the parties.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we need people that will really go in there and work. But what we've seen is that there's no incentive for the parties that we have right now for them to give us credible candidates. They would rather bring in candidates that they can control, candidates that they know corruption would be nothing to them. They'll be ready to partake in those with integrity, those that will not partake in the corruption and all of that. They usually don't bring them. And the way it is, because of the rigging that normally would happen, they just feel that the people are powerless. Initially, we used to have citizens not bothered about the election. They don't come out to vote. Of course, when citizens don't come out to vote, it makes it easy for them, to just declare the people that vote them, they get declared as winners. But now that citizens are coming out and they are coming out with rigging, we as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria need to find a way to mitigate the rigging, to mitigate the violence, and ensure that the will of the people is what counts. It doesn't matter who the people vote for. It's democracy. Just allow the will. If the people decide that they're going to vote a stone, so be it. Let the stone be the person in charge. Because right now, with the suffering that is happening, with the fact that insecurity, people are being killed left, right, and center. Nothing, not a word, nothing. People are suffering. People can't feed themselves. Is it yesterday there was a report? Amnesty International has a report of a young man. I can't remember which of the states, whether it's Borno or something, who stole some noodle. And then police, he was arrested, police beat him to death, and, he died in the hospital and all of that. People are hungry, people are going through so much. Where is the opposition? They're supposed to be the voices of the people. One of the things I always say to people is that, because I see a lot of people like, oh, Aisha, you used to do advocacy, why are you doing politics? I say advocacy, activism, and politics are the same thing. They are supposed to be for the greater good. The only difference is the approach. Where the advocates and activists will point out what the problems are, the politicians are supposed to solve those problems. So right now, the opposition, they have failed. They're just waiting for the years to roll by, and then in the next 4 years, they will not start, or is it 3 years now? They will now start telling citizens to come out and vote for them. It's not just about democracy is not just about electioneering. It's about dividends of democracy and ensuring that the lives of the people are better. Right now, where are the policies? We have policies that are crazy. I mean, Naira went from where to where to where. And I remember people insulting me, abusing me because I said, hold your dollars, closer. Right now, even at the moment, at the time where they brought in their kangaroo, policies and decided that they were going to force the Naira to be strong. What happened? You cannot govern with propaganda. That is not it. And some of the questions that I asked people, I say, look, okay, fine, the Naira, it was almost 2,000, Naira to $1. It's coming down now. What is it that was done? Is it that Nigeria has stopped importing crude petroleum products? Is it that we are now exporting more crude oil? Is it that we are now manufacturing more things and selling? Is it that our politicians are no longer going outside to go and buy vehicles and all of that? I can't remember. There's a particular, I think it's customs, that it was reported that they're going to use how many billions to go and buy vehicles, Toyota vehicles. Well, but one thing that Aisha Yesufu will not support is where if Peter Obi becomes a running mate to anybody. Nah, I'm not on that ticket. Right. I wouldn't be on that. So
for watching. Bye.